At 7:30 p.m. tonight, we have the goodies. But before that, sit back and relax for an evening with the Thamesmen.
Ta-da!
Oh, dear. Do you know what I never see anymore?
What's that? Quality television?
Cheese and onion sandwich.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I know. I was having a daydream the other day. I was meant to be working. I was just looking out the window, as you do. I was on a Zoom. And I suddenly thought, you never see a cheese and onion sandwich anymore. Why?
Not hard to make. Oh, I'm George. I'm in Los Angeles, just quickly. Then we'll carry on with the cheese and onion discussion, because I've got a point
I'm Alex.
to make.
I'm in Colorado. You're right. Not hard to make. An absolute staple classic. What is it? What went wrong?
Now, the thing is, I think cheese and onion isn't like the best idea. If you think cheese and onion, but I do remember my very first cheese and onion sandwich, and there's something about when you get good onion with good cheddar, the two things together make a flavour that isn't what you expect.
But if you had to pick one sandwich to live with, the king of the sandwiches, or queen, or Zayzem, what would you pick?
Do you know those pate sandwiches we used to have at the Crooked Billet in Stoke Row? Special.
I still buy pate now because of that.
That was a magic time. That was But I tell you, the Bella Aldworth, their crusty rolls, they do a good crusty roll.
For me,
what about you? What's you?
For me, you just can't beat cheese and Branxton pickle.
Oh, yeah. Branston pickle with pretty much anything, honestly. Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you tune in for quality content such as this. If it comes down to sandwiches, we got you covered.
We got you covered. We've also got you covered for two, not one, but two, Day 5, Aussie Week something, great tracks.
Well, hopefully, because the name of this game is We Know Nothing. And have you ever heard of a band called Hunters and Collectors?
Now, I will be honest. Hunters and Collectors, I remember from when I lived in Sydney, and I have a couple of albums of Hunters and Collectors, and I've been really looking forward to them coming up into the rotation for you to hear them, because I don't know these particular. I know the first one, which is called the Holy Grail. I know it from an album version, but I think we've got a live version here. There was something about Hunters and Collectors which was. And we got some notes, which are much more informed than I am in a second. But there's something about them where they had, we've always said the Aussie pub rock scene had a unique sound. Hunters and Collectors had a unique sound on top of the unique sound. They were like uniqueness squared, but still accessible. And they had some great tunes. They had a very distinctive, if you heard a song, you go, that's Hunters and Collectors, So.
Good. Well, let's do the notes on that one. Let's have a quick look. So this is the Holy Grail, founded in 1981 by frontman Mark Seymour, elder brother of Crowded House Nick Seymour. And Jesus Christ, everyone's related to everyone down there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They weren't your typical pub band. An essential horn section providing their unique sound. According to rock journalist Ian McFarlane, their great achievement was to lay bare human emotions in the ritualistic milieu of pub rock gig. This song, as you guessed, is inspired by Napoleon's march to Russia in 1812. Oh, can you imagine being inspired?
That's exactly what I thought, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, God, you know what? I'm really inspired by Napoleon's march to Russia in 1812. I'm going to write a song. God,
that's the kind of thing the Sabatons say, wouldn't it?
Thank God for Napoleon. Otherwise, I'd be, uninspired. Oh, why don't we write about his march to Russia?
Okay,
but,
yeah.
Oh, do you know Napoleon's wife had a pug?
Did she really?
She did, yeah, and I think it was called. I think it was called Lucky or something like that. Anyway, when Napoleon first tried to sleep with his wife, the pug bit him on the penis. But since then, has been co-opted by the Australian Football League as a metaphor for its Premiership Cup. His speech at the start of the video is referencing this. Right.
Okay. All right. So, are you ready for this? I'm really looking forward to this track. So,
are we ready for this? Am I ready for this? Never. Let's give this a try. All right. Yeah. Hunters and collectors, the Holy Grail. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Kaboom.
Next time I come here, I want it to be the first Saturday in September. To see your team get whooped by Hawthorn. And they may well play this song. Oh yes, let's just rough our way through it.
Huge crowd, look at that.
This morning from the strangest dream, I was in the biggest army the world has ever seen. With my marching as one on the road to the Holy Grail. Started out seeking fortune and glory. It's a short song, but it's one hell of a story. When you spend your lifetime trying to get your hands on the Holy Grail. Well, have you heard about the Great Crusade? We ran into millions, and nobody got to pay. We raced for the corners of the world, for the Holy Grail. They were hiding in the snow, and we were so far from home. So how were we to know there'd be nothing left to plunder when we stumbled on the Holy Grail? We were full of beans when we were dying like flies, and those big black birds, they were circling in the sky. And you know what they say, yeah. Nobody deserves to die.
Great.
Nice. I love that track. I absolutely, like I said, I've heard that track, but I love that track.
Yeah, it's very anthemic. It's like, I can see why they picked it up when they talk about the army all being as one, and it's got that. It's a classic riff underneath.
I'm gonna have to send you a link or look for the studio version of that one.
Yes,
because that was great to see in front of that huge crowd and live and stuff like that. But the something about the studio version for me, which is just you really get to hear his voice and the balance with the horns and the things like that, and which that live mix didn't do it full justice. I think it was great to see live, but the studio version for me is magic. I tell you.
Yeah, he had a great voice. I was actually, when I was listening to it, I was thinking this is going to be great in the studio version, just to get the mix right, because the guitar was a little bit set back, and there was a lot going on, and it was hard to differentiate. But the actual thread of the song was absolutely brilliant, and created for stadium rock. I mean, it was an anthemic, huge song that you can get behind.
Yeah, no, I having heard the song a few times, I never knew the idea was about the French Revolution or whatever it happened to be, and then suddenly all the things. Some of that makes more sense, but I didn't think they were marching on Moscow for the Holy Grail, though. Or am I losing my history here somewhere? But anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Talking to that, the Greeks held the Germans back much longer than they thought, so they were late going into Russia because of the Greeks. So then when they did invade Russia, they went up exactly the same road as Napoleon and got stuck in exactly the same mud and winter. And the Nazis were in search of the Holy Grail. There's a link, but I doubt it's the same link.
All these people looking for the Holy Grail, and no one's really found it.
No, it's in Reading. It's in the junk shop down there, $2.99 reduced.
Anyway, we got a bonus track, haven't we? We got more
bonus. Yeah, read the notes.
Collectors. So, shall I read the notes on this one?
Yes, do it.
So this song was originally released, and this song is going to be "Throw Your Arms Around Me" live. This song was originally released in '84. It did quite well in New Zealand, but failed to chart in Australia. 2 years later, a slightly different version managed to make it to number 49. And finally, in 1990, another different version hit number 34, which was its peak. And yet, in 2001, the Australian Performing Rights Association named it in the top 30 Australian songs of all time. Music Junkie said of it, "Nobody that has witnessed this song being sung drunkenly in a pub by 100 people arms linked can deny its hold over the Australian psyche." The version we're going to listen to is the electric, slightly rockier one, as opposed to the acoustic one that was done later.
Great. Pub rock at its best.
Pub rock at its best. So
Peak pub rock.
Peep. I can't even say it. Okay, all right. Good stuff.
PPR.
You sure? Okay. All right. PPR. Let's do it.
PPR. Let's do some PPR. Hunters and Collectors. Throw your arms around me, ladies and gentlemen. PPR. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Throw your arms around me.
You could see why that could be a drunken anthem, couldn't you?
I freaking adored that.
It was good, isn't it?
That was beyond good for me. That, for me, was the best track of the week.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God, that had it all for me because it took me back to being, in early bands. You know what I mean? It was like they had all the ingredients of, you could see what they were going to become, but
That's
they were
true.
still learning their instruments, and they were still fragile, and they were still trying songwriting, and they had all the ingredients, but they weren't that was a lot more indie, and the other song that we did was a lot more mainstream. I loved that because it's like watching greatness before it's evolved. That was fantastic.
It was great, and I must say, like, Hunters and Collectors, they have a uniqueness to them. Like, we talk about the Aussie uniqueness. They definitely have a uniqueness to them. And where Midnight Oil broke out, when Excess broke out, AC/DC broke out, I think Hunters and Collectors were one of the bands with a uniqueness that didn't in the same way. And they're sort of maybe slightly less accessible. They're not pure rock songs or pure protesty sort of pop songs, but they're freaking good band.
I agree, but I got to listen to the album versions, but they seem to be in a real indie stage. The crowd weren't too sure, and they were like, you could hear the vulnerabilities, you could hear that they were new at the craft, the tones weren't there, the professionalism wasn't there, and yet it was a lot more magical than that mainstream.
Well, I think it was because also the mainstream ones when they were older, and actually I think the songs were probably of a similar age and era in terms of when they came out. It was just the performances that you're seeing were, one was much earlier than the other. If that makes, when he was much younger, the other one was, obviously they're playing through a cricket stadium or whatever it was.
I've just been to a load of those gigs before. I've either performed on them or been in the crowd when everyone's kind of milling around. But I mean, if they came on there, that was great. I loved it. I don't know why I loved it so much. I think it just harks back to an era I know.
And I could almost feel like the sweaty nature of the club, and the sort of, a few beers, a few cigarettes, and people just,
and the cheap keyboard cutting in and cutting out, not really working, and the tin, I know exactly, and the tinny Strat, and the tinny Strat, because they don't actually have any pedals yet, and they haven't honed it in, and it was like basically it got down to just the bass player and his kind of vocals.
It might have been a bad mix at that point.
No, I know, but that was all. That again was just all part of the character. Absolutely. And then Angie goes and gets drunk and gets offered Dave. Again. All right, that was absolutely goddamn brilliant and mesmerising. I'm just so glad that came along. Well,
thank you, Australia, again.
But don't stop there. I'm going to hit my mic over because that is the end of this week, correct?
Correct, but unless...
No, right at this moment, the moment this goes live, we're also scheduling the bonus track, the bonus video. It's been released at the same time on our Patreon channel. So if at the end of this, go over to our Patreon channel and see what it is. And the clue is that... And that.
Monkeys on a bicycle.
Nearly.
Okay, got it. All right.
Thank you, Chris, for putting that week together. Thank you for everyone for being with us. And, hopefully we'll see you on Patreon in a second.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. See you on the flip side.